got deported. My mom just got deported. My mom just got deported. It's so not fair. It's so not fair. She's literally not a criminal. Like, she's literally just paid her taxes. She's literally just... We're not safe. No one's safe. Please. Hug your loved ones, please.
Latinos for Trump are in their find out stage after learning that people that look just like them are being targeted for no reason other than their skin color. Now they've taken to social media crying, regretting their decision.
This is so crazy that we voted for Trump. We trust him with the word that he promised us Latinos. This is crazy that starting next week, multiple cities will be hitting immigration. That is so crazy that multiple people are scared to go to work. Where I work at,
The moment people become afraid to go to work, this stops being about politics. It becomes about survival. This is about rent, groceries, fuel, medicine, and kids needing money for lunch. All of it gets put at risk when fear takes over the neighborhood. People who have never lived under this kind of pressure often fail to understand just how quickly fear spreads through a community. If one person gets taken, 10 more stop showing up to work. 20 more stop leaving their homes. Slowly, the entire area begins closing in on itself. If your family is living under pressure, do not rely on hope alone. Build a real plan. Have names, phone numbers, important documents, child pickup arrangements, emergency cash, and everything else ready. Hope by itself is not a strategy.
Latinos did not go to work, and that's crazy because we have a living too. I hate that I voted for him. Now I'm so scared for my family and y'all family. Y'all, we need to come together and do something about.
But what do you think? Does she have a right to complain? Make sure to follow if you want to see more.
The American flag stands for compassion, kindness, liberty, and justice for all.
So Cynthia is on the internet crying because she voted for Trump knowing that her father was undocumented and he got deported. Not only did he get deported, but he has stage 4 cancer. And I hate to be the one to kick someone when they're down, but to be on here talking about the American flag stands for liberty, kindness. Since when, ma'am? Since when? Because not in Black American history has it ever stood for that. Not in recent American history did it ever stand for that. And for the people who are the Latinos for Trump saying that, I didn't know that I was going to get, I didn't. What about the giant mass deportation now signs? What about build the wall? What about Trump's whole first presidency made you think that this would be okay? And I'm sorry, I have no tears. No tears whatsoever. This is the consequence of your actions. And for all those other people who voted for Trump and got exactly what they thought would happen to other people, it's sad, but sometimes you have to learn the lesson the hard way.
It was harsh, no doubt, but you can understand why he said it. Regret always becomes loudest after people get hurt. The uncomfortable truth is that some people only take danger seriously once it reaches their own home. That is exactly why denial comes at such a heavy cost. It causes people to ignore warning signs until the people they care about are the ones forced to pay the price. If the woman on screen teaches us anything, it is this: you cannot hand off your awareness to someone else. You need to understand what systems are capable of, what rights you have, and where your family's weak points are before a crisis arrives at your doorstep.
Jesus the Lord. I'm wondering if you can wrap your head around the moment you're in. I mean, did you ever think that it was a possibility, maybe before the last few months, that your mom might get taken away? I mean, was she here legally? Did you ever think that there was a world where it would be a problem?
I heard of ICE ever since I was a child. I have always dreaded the day that where she would be taken from us. So I wasn't surprised that she was taken away, because it's been an anxiety in the back of my mind since I was a child. And now that I am older and that I can finally process more and understand what is going on in the world around me, the intensity of ICE being here and being around here has sent all of us into hiding. So many people I've heard personal stories of people purposely missing doctor's appointments because they're scared. All of us are scared. It's been anxiety inducing for everybody. And my mom talked to me around last week. We had breakfast together, and she told me that if anything were to happen, then I need to help pay the bills. I need to help with the rent, and that there's people who are going to help me if I'm in a bind.
Really hit hard. A mother sitting at breakfast with her child, not talking about dreams, school, or the usual everyday family things, but instead discussing bills, rent, and who will step in if she suddenly disappears. That kind of conversation steals the peace from a home. What makes it even more painful is knowing she was trying to prepare her child while likely falling apart inside herself. That is what fear does. It forces parents to become emergency planners instead of simply being parents. If your household faces even the slightest risk, write everything down right now. Know where all important documents are, who gets called first, who can lend money, who can pick up the children, and which lawyer needs to be contacted. Because when panic enters the room, confusion can be dangerous.
No, it was a difficult conversation nonetheless to have with my mother. Before this happened, it happened around last week too.
Our day went from being wonderful to absolute hell within minutes. And it was a sensory deprivation chamber. There was no light in or out under fluorescent lights for 5 days, and we slept on mats on concrete floors, and they gave us space blankets. It's a 48-hour holding facility. They held us for 5 days. And you're going to have to excuse me because the people in there were just so lovely.
The detainees, you mean?
Yeah, it was really hard to say goodbye and leave them behind. So she did have really beautiful people in there to play with. There were no criminals there. So many of the people that come from other countries are discriminated and their voices aren't heard. I have the privilege of being an English-speaking North American with American history. I have that, and they don't have the education to back them. They don't know their rights. I do. And so if I can speak on behalf of the people that are in these detention centers, I'm going to do that.
Tanya, what happens next in your case?
Basically, my immigration lawyer is going to work on helping me get my ankle monitor off, as well as the congressman in my area. I do have a check-in on April 16th with ICE south of the check-in point, and I am terrified to go.
Another ICE arrest this weekend that just really makes you scratch your head. I want you to take a look at this photo. This is Sarah Shaw and her 6-year-old son, Isaac. Sarah's from New Zealand, a mother of 3, has been living in Everett, Washington. Well, this weekend she drove her older kids into Canada to drop them off for a flight back to New Zealand. And on her way back, she and Isaac were detained by ICE. Now, Sarah thought all of her paperwork was set, her work authorization had been approved, but her advanced parole travel document, which allows you to re-enter the U.S. while you're waiting on a green card application, was still pending. So now both Sarah and Isaac are being held at the South Texas Family Residential Center. This is one of only 2 ICE facilities currently in the U.S. that detains families. Friends say this was just a simple paperwork error that should have been fixed at the border. Sarah is still eligible for a green card under protections for survivors of domestic abuse, but her lawyer says given the current immigration situation and the enforcement we're seeing in this country, they just don't know how this will end. And Sarah's close friend said, quote, being treated like a criminal has been very embarrassing. One of the hardest parts for her has been her job finding out what's going on. Supporters are calling for her to be released, and especially for 6-year-old Isaac to be able to go home.
The moment you were separated with a little girl simply trying to make her way home, that is the part that should make people stop and pay attention. Adults can spend all day debating systems and policies, but the moment a 6-year-old gets caught in the middle of it, things have already turned deeply troubling. Children carry fear in ways that stay with them. They remember the cold rooms, unfamiliar faces, the separation, and the terrifying feeling of not understanding what is happening around them. And even if she is released later, the nervous system does not simply return to normal overnight.
Your son, I imagine, must have been a really difficult time.
Muy difícil. Demasiado.
Very difficult.
Nunca me había separado tanto tiempo de él.
You two had never been separated for that long, and you're very close.
Demasiado.
Very much so.
En invierno dormimos juntos.
You sleep together. In the winter. Y ya tiene 18.
Y ya tiene 18.
What scared you the most when Ricardo was detained?
Lo que él pudiera vivir.
What he was going through.
Estábamos con delincuentes revueltos.
Because he was being detained alongside real criminals.
Con gente que había hecho cosas malas. Él es un niño.
He's a kid.
Fue muy difícil.
It was very difficult. This was the first time Ricardo had ever been detained in his life. Yes.
Sí, señor.
Were you also scared that Ricardo was going to lose his dreams of studying here and playing soccer here?
Sí, que no se le cumplieran los sueños, sabiendo que él se ha esforzado mucho por alcanzar sus sueños.
And when they told you that Ricardo was going to be released, how did you feel?
Súper feliz.
Very happy. Where do you hope Ricardo will be in 5 years?
Jugando en un equipo profesional.
Playing for a professional soccer club.
Que él dé lo mejor de él, porque él tiene mucho para dar. Por esto que nos pasó, no quiero que se detenga, que él siga avanzando, que haga lo que a él le gusta, que es jugar fútbol. Que ojalá se le abra muchas puertas.
At some point last year, my dad and my uncle were driving together. My dad and my uncle are both Mexican, and my dad is a U.S. citizen, and my uncle is a permanent resident. They get pulled over as they're driving together, and the police comes up to the driver's side and tells them to get out of the car. He calls for backup, and a police force shows up. They block off the entire street with caution tape as if it's a crime scene. They take my uncle and my dad. They throw them onto the dirty asphalt, this dirty road, and they handcuff them. They throw them into the back of the cop car and they interrogate them. Where are you going? Where are you from? Are you from here? Do you have your license? Which they did. They take their license. They run everything, a whole background check while they're interrogating them in the back of the cop car while they're handcuffed. And then they realize that all their documentation is actually not fake, which they thought it was. And they say, okay, you guys are good to go because everything seems to have ran correctly. They let them go. You know, they pulled them over for no reason, and then they ran all this stuff, and then they scared the out of them. And my dad comes home. Mind you, my dad is a brown Mexican man, and he's pale from this traumatic experience that just happened, and this was last year. And now, things are even more radical. Things are only getting worse. We're racially profiling people. We're taking them. We're throwing them. In what world? In what world is that okay? And in what world do we think that's freedom? If we don't think history is repeating itself, maybe you should take another look. Maybe you should think again.
Puerto Rican family was wrongfully detained by ICE in Wisconsin after being overheard speaking Spanish. A family member explained to ICE in English that they were American citizens born in Puerto Rico, but ICE still transported them to a detention center. Now, this family, which included a toddler, was taken into custody while shopping. ICE agents refused to allow them to clarify their citizenship status until after they had already been transported to a detention center. When the family was finally able to present their identification documents, officials became apologetic. However, the so-called apology was meaningless, especially since the family was left stranded and forced to arrange and pay for their own transportation home from the detention facility. And another troubling incident, ICE
Being forced to pay for your own ride home after being released from a detention facility adds insult to injury. You detain citizens, ignore what they are telling you, take them away, and then after finally realizing you made a mistake, they are still left to cover the cost of getting themselves home. That kind of apology carries no real value. Once someone has already been humiliated, terrified, and made to feel like they do not belong in their own country, saying sorry does very little to repair that damage. This is exactly why knowing your rights matters so much. Not because it guarantees fairness, but because it gives you something solid to stand on when the people in power begin acting recklessly. Save legal contact numbers, educate the elders, teach the children, and build a plan that still works even when panic takes over.
Showed up at a Puerto Rican restaurant in Philadelphia without a warrant. They told the owner that they wanted to, quote, check the restaurant, raising further concerns about unconstitutional enforcement tactics. Now, these incidents come just days after reports surfaced of members of the Navajo Nation being questioned, arrested, and detained by ICE despite being U.S. citizens. Now, know your rights. 1, you do not have to consent to searches without a warrant. An ICE detention warrant is not the same as a judicial search warrant. 2, you do not have to allow ICE entry unless they have a judicial warrant. 3, you have the right to a lawyer. And 4, you have a right to stay silent. So let's stay safe and let's stay vigilant.
I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm disappointed.
Julier never thought she'd have to say goodbye to her mom this way.
As soon as she turned the corner, that's when I broke down. Like I couldn't. I just needed to make sure that she was good, and then that's when it just all came.
Julie describes her mother as strong and resilient. She came to the United States when she was only 15 years old, crossing the border illegally in search of a better life. Over time, she built a family, first having Julie and then her other children, while life continued to move forward in the United States. For the next 36 years, she worked, raised her family, and built her life there.
Mixed status families, meaning like there's the undocumented parent and then the kids are U.S. citizen. Yeah, so it's like having that conversation with their parents, like, hey, what's gonna happen like if you get detained? So it's really important that they start collecting their documents, for example, the kids' birth certificates, evidence that they've been here for more than 2 years, evidence that they're, contributing to the country. Because if someone's detained and they've been here for more than 2 years, they can request a bond if we can show that they're not a flight risk and that they're going to show up to their hearing. So it's really important right now to just start gathering those documents.
So first, I'd like to thank all of you so much for helping push this post out to so many people. It's honestly incredible the amount of love and support that I'm getting from everyone regarding my dad's immigration situation. I wanted to update you guys and let you know that my dad contacted me. He made it to Mexico and he is okay and he is safe. I do want to say the last couple of days were honestly truly very scary, especially because ICE does their best to keep you in the dark and not give you any information about your family members' well-being or where they are. And with my dad's case, what was very scary about it was that they were alleging him to be a part of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua from Venezuela, but in their discovery or whatever you call it, it says that he is suspected of being a gang member of the Venezuela Tren de Aragua, but in Peru. And I just want to say, like, my dad has never been to Venezuela. He's never been to Peru. He's from Mexico, and he's been in the United States for about 27 years. And he doesn't have a criminal record or any affiliation with any type of gang or group of bad people. But I just really want to thank you guys because you guys are helping me get his story out there, and I am going to make another video kind of giving you guys like all the details, all the facts of my dad's deportation and what happened from the day he got detained to the day that he made it to Mexico.
I would like to talk about something super important right now.
You can hear it in her voice, relief and trauma existing in the very same sentence. Yes, he is alive. Yes, he is safe. But look at what the family had to endure just to reach that point. Days of not knowing where he was, what was happening to him, or what kind of story was being attached to his name. That level of uncertainty can deeply affect a person's mind. People stop sleeping. They stop eating properly. They replay every possible outcome again and again in their heads. And when accusations are thrown around carelessly, the damage can stay with someone long after the truth finally comes out. If your family is facing any kind of legal vulnerability, document everything. Keep records of dates, calls, contacts, paperwork, and screenshots. Every detail matters when the truth starts getting buried beneath chaos.
In a city called Bellingham, Washington, population about 96,000, and we live like right next to the border, Canadian border. Yesterday, there was one of the biggest raids there has been with ICE. 37 workers were detained. This has already brought literal tears to my eyes that this is what is happening. This is making America great. I am beyond angry and I am upset and I am just horrified that this is our world right now. Border Patrol, staking medical offices, walk-in clinics. I see them everywhere. I am just posting this to reach to people and for it to be a subject of conversation still. This is not okay. This is not making America great. We need to be angry about this.
My dear cousins, near and far, blood related or not, come to the front of the class. It might be summer, but some of y'all need some education here. It has just come to my attention that there is ICE raiding in my state of Connecticut. We're talking other cities, other districts. They're coming for schools, people's homes, people's jobs. From restaurants, corporate companies, hospitals, and so much more. You guys might be telling me, no, by that fake news, I'm not going to do things like that. But they're doing it, okay? They are doing it. As much as I have a big following page on here, I want you guys to know that I am talking to you guys about what's happening here in real life. Connecticut was seen as a safe haven for illegal immigrants from way, way back. And to see that now it's happening, our safe haven is completely shattered. Spread awareness and inform your...
Once a place no longer feels safe, people stop moving the way they used to. They stop going to clinics, stop showing up for school events, stop asking for help, and stop trusting the streets they live on. Fear does more than scare people. It isolates them. And isolation makes every difficult situation even worse. If a community wants to survive this kind of pressure, people need to act with purpose instead of just posting online. That means checking on neighbors, building transportation networks, sharing verified information, and helping families prepare. When safety breaks down, community support has to step in and rebuild what was lost.
Hey, yo, check this out. Apparently I have an addiction because I just can't stop. You see it. Cuban family that backed Trump cries after ICE picks up their son. He failed us. Let's check it out.
Que tiene 85 años de edad, extraña a su nieto. El nieto era el que la ayudaba, le daba su leche, la levantaba de la cama, la volvía a acostar.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop it there because this is pulling on my heartstrings. And all I really have to say is, lo siento, abuela, y dile adios. Oh yeah, cue the music. Oh yeah, I couldn't forget about the remix.
They took my wife.
This man who wished not to be identified says his wife is from Venezuela and has lived in the United States for a few years. She was one of 3 people taken from this home. I'm told the 2 others were men who worked in construction. You see them here. This video, only a minute and 52 seconds long, we do not see his wife being removed from the home. But this is a picture of her that he keeps in his wallet. Her name is Vianis Ramirez, and he says she was in the process of becoming a United States citizen.
She already had a court date. She was good. Everything's good. He just came in and snatched her.
These are pictures from the Department of Homeland Security detaining other undocumented men and women in Broward County.
This is despicable what they're doing right now. It's very embarrassing.
President Donald Trump arrived at his Trump National Golf Resort in Doral Saturday, set to host GOP leaders for a conference. This man hopes this message makes it to him.
I get a chance to talk to you, man. Yo, please, man, let's work something out. So you, man, let me keep my wife here in the United States, man. She deserves to be here, man.
ICE reports nearly.
Listen to that, man. This is not some political debate clip. This is heartbreak. He is talking about his wife like a man desperately trying to stay afloat while begging for even the smallest bit of mercy. And that is what so many people fail to see. Every one of these cases is the center of someone's world, someone's partner, someone's mother, someone they built an entire life around. When that person is suddenly taken away, people do not just lose companionship. They lose stability, routine, income, care, and emotional support. They lose the foundation that held everything together. That kind of loss sends shockwaves through a home long after the cameras are gone.
You know, there are 1.4 million independent Latino voters. There are also many undecided Latino voters. Our vote has been taken for granted and used for far too long. And it's time for change. So, consider this. I'm a Latino just like you, trying to work hard, take care of my family, and live with dignity. But right now, over 60% of Californians don't even believe the California dream is possible anymore. Over 50% live with the deep fear of climate change. Their votes are manipulated by fear, but that's a whole nother topic. The reality is, most Latinos can't afford a house, gas is killing us, and taxes are through the roof. One party has controlled this state for over 20 years, and they failed us. They use our emotions to keep our vote, but we're the ones that end up suffering the most. We believe in hard work, law and order, family, and God. That's why I'm voting for and asking you to consider Chad Bianco. He gets it. Look, I can't force you, but I'm asking you to at least consider this. Let's finally vote for real change from now through June 2nd. Our families deserve better.
I am the only person on this stage that has 33 years of proven public service based on integrity, honesty, character, transparency, and most importantly, proven leadership. California does not deserve, or should we have, another career politician promising you pie-in-the-sky ideas. What we need is a proven problem solver, a leader who will combat the policies that have ruined most of your lives and make California the dream that we all had once again.
Usually this place would be jammin', and it's a little empty, this lumberyard. ICE came through town, and people are definitely staying home. And of course they're targeting the Latino population, and a lot of the contractors around here can't find help. The Latino population is major in construction everywhere in the country, not just here in Colorado. Yeah, and what's going on in Los Angeles and other places in the country, it's a moral outrage. Yeah, we've got a hotline number here in Colorado, Southwest Colorado, set up for people who see an ICE raid happening, and let our fellow workers and Latino brothers and sisters know what's up.
As if the news wasn't bad enough, let me give you some more bad news. A woman named Jimmy Rosa went on a family vacation with her children and her husband to Mexico a couple weeks ago. When they landed back from their trip in Massachusetts, where she's been a legal resident for 20 years, ICE was waiting for her. They took her in front of her husband and daughter, and they had no idea why. They were asking, why are you taking her? She has to have medication. She has anxiety. She has diabetes, all these things. They didn't care. They took her. She ended up being hospitalized twice because they would not give her proper medical care. Her husband called every day asking where she was. She was shuffled around from ICE detention center to ICE detention center, at some point even handcuffed to the bed. This woman was traumatized for 2 weeks, finally was released August 10th when her lawyer stepped in and had what appears to be a 20-year-ago small marijuana charge. And they arrested her for that. They were going to deport her for that. Those 2 weeks, her daughters spent crying out every night, "Where's mommy?" And daddy couldn't answer. This is insane. What are we doing? Luckily, she's been released because the lawyer was able to get it expunged. But this is not just her story. This is the story of so many, and you are allowing it. We have to stop this.